Time right now is 9:12. To the kitchen we go with Shali.
I know, you like my shoes. We're talking about all kinds of stuff, girly stuff, all kinds of stuff. Okay, guys, over the next few weeks as Food is Medicine, we're talking about fertility, especially in your 30s and 40s. So Krista Recchio from thewholejourney.com is here with some ladies, really important stuff if you're going to get pregnant later in life, which Krista, a lot of women are waiting. I waited until after 30 to get pregnant.
Yeah. And most people are, the majority of women, they're building their career, they're waiting to get married later, and there's nothing wrong with that. So my whole message, which we've talked about so much, is that you can have just as healthy of a pregnancy in your mid-30s, late 30s, early 40s than you could in your 20s.
And the reason that we're talking about that is, I mean, we've had so many guests on our show talk about this too, is that it's harder to get pregnant, or there are more challenges when you hit the 30 and 40 range. Is that right?
Potentially.
Okay.
And it's just about doing your cleanup work, because if you have any predisposition for imbalance, obviously it gets worse in your 30s and 40s, but we're talking about 7 lab tests today that you can test. So don't guess at it, test it, fix it, and do a 3-month preconception period, which you and I did together.
Yes, we
worked
did that.
together
Yes.
very successfully with your beautiful, healthy baby.
Yes.
And so the quality of the egg and the sperm develops 90 days before conception.
90 days before conception.
Before you
wow.
even get pregnant. So this is really important, and people aren't really talking about this in the mainstream. So figure out where your health is and fix it. And the first thing I want to talk about is it's kind of a complicated concept, but it's important.
Okay.
There's something to ask your doctor for. It's the MTHFR. MTHFR genetic mutation.
Okay.
And I'm finding a lot of fertility and infertility that about 50% of the population has this mutation where they can't convert their B vitamins, and you know how important it was for you to take folate, right, during pregnancy, not folic acid, but folate. So you need to be able to use your B vitamins for a healthy pregnancy to prevent miscarriage. And it's also, if you have this mutation, maybe it's off genetically in your 20s, it could turn on in your 30s and 40s.
Wow.
That's why you have a problem. What you need to do is make sure your detoxification pathways are working, and that way you can overcome this problem.
Okay, so that was lab test 1.
Yeah.
Okay, what else do we do?
Lab test 2 isn't here, but you just did it. It's the food sensitivity test.
Oh yeah, I just did that.
Yeah, so find your formula.
Okay.
You want to say, now you can't eat, almonds. We got to switch from almond milk to coconut milk.
I had no idea I couldn't drink almond milk.
Yeah.
I mean, I can drink it, but it just doesn't work with my system.
So there's lots of foods out there that are perceived as healthy, and you think you're doing a great thing for yourself, but yet it's not the right formula for your body.
Yes.
And it puts a damper on your immune system and thus your fertility. So do a blood test, IgG, figure out what your food sensitivities are, and then adjust your diet.
Okay, that's 2. 3.
Okay, 3. Easy, free, at home. Test your thyroid. Most women, if they're not getting pregnant, you've got multiple miscarriages, history of thyroid problems, you can test your thyroid by taking your temperature when you wake up in the morning, before you go to bed, and 20 minutes after each meal. If it's low, should be 98.6, then it's worth it to go get lab work, because if your thyroid is sluggish or not functioning well, then you will have irregular periods and you will not ovulate, and you can't get pregnant if you're not ovulating.
Yeah. Okay, wow, interesting. Okay, what's the next test?
Okay, another free, easy one you can do at home. Test and balance your pH. This is the acid-alkaline balance of your blood. And I'm going to post how to do this on the blog. I post these segments to thewholejourney.com on Tuesdays. For the sake of time, I'll have a full sheet. Then we have to look at digestive health. I have 2 labs that I always run where I'm looking for how well you're absorbing your nutrients and if you have something called leaky gut. Because if you have a thyroid problem, it could start here in the digestive system. So here you can ask your doc, leaky gut test, or this one here is for pathogens. If you have bad bugs in the GI tract, it's usually a root cause for something like PCOS. Have you heard of Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome?
Oh yeah, I've heard of that, but what is that?
Yeah, so it's basically a hormonal imbalance where you have cysts in your ovaries, and it's harder to get pregnant, and it imbalances your hormones. The root of that is here, and then I look at the brain and the hormones, which we ran this test on you, and it gives you the entire endocrine picture, right? It gives you the entire picture of your hormonal code. So I get this information, and I have a compliant client, and they are getting pregnant if they are meant to get pregnant. And so we're going to post all information about these tests.
But I would think, though, too, Chris, like a lot of this seems a little overwhelming. Why is it important for women and even like the hubbies to support the women, like when they want to get pregnant, to do this stuff?
Well, I mean, I have worked with so many clients where they have gone an emotional journey and tens of thousands of dollars of failed IVF, and it's the difference between having a child and not having a child. This changes the course. Can you imagine? It changes the course of our whole lives. And so really getting serious about cleaning up the health of the body. And dads don't get off the hook either because they're donating.
Yes.
So they've got to improve their hormonal balance, and really it's a partnership. It's a partnership because you're laying your child's foundation for their adult life, their health, in the preconception period.
This is such fascinating stuff. We don't think about it because it's just, you know, not where most of our minds go, but it's good to educate yourself. Krista's going to get all this information like she set up on her blog, and to find it, you just go to our website, fox5sandiego.com, and it'll get you hooked up to the whole journey.
And I also want to say, so if this is interesting and you guys are local, there's the Natural Family Fair.
Okay.
And I'm the keynote speaker on fertility there, September 14th. It's naturalfamilyfair.com. And I will go through, I just wrote a book about this, so I'm going to go through my entire philosophy of how to make it work so it's not overwhelming.
Not overwhelming. Krista, thank you for being here. Last time, Mr. Martinez, we talked about fertility. Last 2 times, I ended up with a baby.
Yeah.
Krista, stay away from me.
It works.
I'm on a break.
Let's go for a girl.
Don't drink the water and just watch what you
Yeah.